Okay, I'm gonna have to use the spark engine in the orbit. I don't know what the requirements were for that, but 120,000. So I'll have to get a higher than normal orbit in order to test that engine before I take off for Aptur. I'm gonna probably overbuild this rocket. I have a decent amount of funds, I believe. This much fuel to get to Aptur and back with the spark. It's probably too much overkill, too much weight. See, this is the second largest there, and if I stick the spark on that, I end up with over 3,000 delta V. I think that should be enough to go from orbit to Aptur and return home. But I do need to load it up with some science experiments. Oh, and I also have to orbit it. That will take a lot of fuel, so I will want that large engine. So that will give me, I still don't think that's enough even. I don't know how slow I have to go around Aptur to get captured by it. I hadn't paid attention to the fact that I needed to orbit it. I'm not sure it showed that in the contract station. But I was going to try and get all three of the experiments. So I'm going to go with a standard, my standard at least, triplicate of the mystery goo. I will probably just want to recover the capsule. I will want one of these. And then I can go with the parachute on top with the magnetometer on top of that. And then offset it to make it center. And then I will also need a material study. Okay, and the thrust weight for this up in the atmosphere would be 0.84. So this will not be able to really get into orbit itself very effectively. So I will have an assistance stage up here. I probably only need 2 times symmetry for this. Let's center all of these. Now I want, well, if I put Vestas on here, I get that much extra. That'll finalize my orbit fairly well. If I can salvage those before I go above probably about 1,800 meters a second, I would really like to do that. Let me put caps on these. Just do a little bit of staging. These two will break off, at which point this will fire. I want this to be a separate stage, and I will add this central column will be lost in the atmosphere no matter what, so I don't care about saving it. These engines aren't too heavy, but I think I might need 2 parachutes just to be safe. Stage recovery says percent recovered with the fuel, 100% without. I'm not sure I believe that, but I'm going to run with it. So now I just need the parts to get to orbit. And if I 3,400 for the middle, I don't want to sacrifice the Vestas if I don't have to. But I will make this one a taller stage. Center that, put an additional fuel on there, put some caps on top. Now since this will be going first, I will strut it to these side engines, like so. I'm really looking forward to fuel lines. That's what I'm missing most right now. And then I'm probably going to want to use the Wildcat for this. So Wildcat, break off to the Vestas. Okay, that looks good so far. And now for the extra punch, I will use those and center them. How much vertical thrust am I going to need? I guess a good amount. I'll go for the 600 thrust. Center that there. Before I duplicate it, I will copy this parachute, stick it on this engine, and I will use 2 parachutes on this larger stage. And then I will use 1 for the globe. And then I will copy it and set everything up like this. I think that looks like a decent shaped rocket. These 4 are already connected to that rocket there. I will add struts from here to here. And this should be pretty stable. Not really considering them earlier fins, winglets, I guess. I will go for these if I can fit them. No, I won't need them on that part of the stage. I would only need them for the Vestas. And I think by the time I get that high, the wings won't matter. I'll put them on these 4 tall ones. Regardless. Stick it down here. Put the parachute up a little. Alright. Just over 7,000. 651. So 1,900. So almost 3, 4, 5. So this should get to orbit and let me have the spark all the way to Aptur and back again. We will pilot this with not Bill. We do not need an engineer. We'll go with Valentina. You might see Archibald and Maxfris are our new members. Let's call this Aptur Craft. Save that, and what am I missing? So I'm firing off the solids straight away. I'm not firing the wildcats. I do want to fire the wildcats because I can change the throttle. I will jettison all 4 of the solids, after which point I will jettison the wildcats and start the Vestas. Jettison the Vestas, fire the spark. Okay. I think this is set up the way I want. Let's take it for a spin. As you may be able to see, I have some alarms that I've added. If you might have noticed, if you saw Kerbal alarm open in some previous episodes, that since the first episode, all of these other ones that I set up were missing. But you can see I have an Aptur one that says I can get there for a total of about 1,000 delta V from orbit of well, the starting orbit is going to be more than I planned for this because I need to be at 120 for the spark. But I will get going for this, and I think that I will record this in its entirety and trim it for the primary episode, but have the secondary one where I actually built it also contain the full launch. And that did not go well. Let's revert that to the launch. I don't believe that I have any rockets to push those off to the sides at this point. I was going pretty straight. I'm not sure why only one side was crippled. Time to apoapsis is 27. This seems to be going fine. I'm pushing a little off to the side. That was a lot cleaner. They didn't even hit each other and explode. But I'm decelerating. Okay, that's better. 23.5 seconds. I probably want to be above 30 before I start pitching over. I'm not going incredibly fast either. Start going sideways. It's my orbital. Okay. 28.9 seconds to apoapsis. And just under 500 delta V. Almost 1,000 horizontal speed. Looking pretty good. I don't have to push too high with the wildcats before I jettison them because the Vestas will be nice and fuel efficient when I get them high enough. 39 seconds. Match this a little closer. And now the speed is going to be decreasing. I don't want to pitch up more. I want to hopefully get out of the 35,000 range, at which point my time to apoapsis will start increasing. Hopefully. That's the plan. I'll try to stay close to my prograde vector so that I can hopefully pick up enough speed to compensate. 29, still decelerating. This rocket may be too heavy. I'm gonna hold here. Hope that this starts decreasing enough that it will stop and then increase. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse direction. And we're getting there. 21.7. There we go. So now that I'm horizontal speed, I still have about 900 to go. I have over 1200 left on here. I may sacrifice these Vestas and not recover the funds, because it looks like I may be able to carry them into orbit. Recovered all these stages, 95 to 98%, it's pretty good. 800 delta V left. I am not sure if I want to keep these or not. I think that I will overshoot my apoapsis. That's why I'm staying here slightly higher, because once I get to the spark, it's going to be pitiful. But if I go much faster than probably 18.5, when I jettison these, they will burn up in the atmosphere. And I don't think the spark can actually get me there. I'm gonna have to sacrifice these. I don't think the spark would be enough to push the final. I'm going too fast now. My indecision has destroyed these tanks. But that's alright. So I will just circularize this orbit. And then we will head to Aptur. Maybe a little bit of a punch to get us there. I'm not quite in space yet. There we go. Now I should be able to warp faster. Apologize for the darkness. I haven't progressed enough to unlock the lights that I can stick on my ship. Let's jump this up to 120 in order to get the contract. I'll go for, I think it was 130. 120 to 126. So I can catch that on the way there. There we are.
That does it for the construction and launch. If that was something that you enjoyed watching or would like to see more of, leave a like and let me know. If there are certain things that you would like to ask me about in terms of building or how I choose to navigate for getting to orbit, leave comments below and I can make a video compiling a bunch of them together if there are any in a future episode. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.